Electricast.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible. In golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2025, Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
The kids are still at practice, and I have no idea what's for dinner.
You can get a rotisserie chicken and 2 sides for just $15 in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Who said that? Who's in my house? Don't play with me, because I'm not the one.
It's just your friendly Walmart announcer. This is a commercial.
Oh, okay. You were saying dinner for a family was just $15?
Yep, it'll be at your door by the time you get the kids home from practice. Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Subject to availability, restrictions and fees apply.
Now that was a helpful commercial.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are about to listen to the most entertaining and informative wrestling podcast out there. That is not a prediction, it is a spoiler, and this is Kayfabe Critics.
Welcome to Kayfabe Critics. Wow, on Missing the Point. I am honored to be here as always. The most fun I ever have, honestly, when we do shows is when I get to talk about the wonderful world of professional wrestling with the two lovely gentlemen joining me today. I would call you guys both baby faces in the world of Missing the Point. Would you agree with that, Mike? Are you more of a heel? I feel like Ray's probably a face.
Yeah, would you actually call me a baby face, or would
I
you
guess,
always call me a dick?
No, he's definitely a tweener. He's definitely a tweener. He's not.
Yeah, I feel like you can turn depending on the subject matter. Based on our conversations today, I feel like you're going heel on this particular podcast, but we're here to do like a little rankings. We wanted to get together and discuss, I mean, basically the top 100 wrestlers of all time, but really we don't have time for that. So we decided to whittle it down to 15. And between the three of us today, we're going to make the definitive Missing the Point, but also probably considering the quality of our product, the definitive list of the best, or if you want to think about it as most important wrestlers in the history of sports entertainment. They're not exclusive to WWF or WWE. They're not exclusive to any era specifically of wrestling. But we are going to outline a few important rules for you just to get this housekeeping out of the way, just before we kind of go. Essentially, we're going to kind of go around in a circle. I'll go to Mike first, then we'll go to Ray, then we'll go to me. And everyone's going to just sort of declare that number. So when I go to Mike, he's going to say, number 15 is X, right? Then Ray and I have a chance, if we want to, for any reason, maybe we wanted that person higher, maybe we didn't want that person on the list at all. Maybe we wanted a person 15 that we can't really justify any higher, or at any number that we can't really justify any higher. So we can use a veto. We both have 3 vetoes. I'll keep track of how we use them, and I'll keep track of the official list as we go. The criteria that we discussed beforehand on how we're going to kind of argue these different wrestlers fitting this top 15 list in no particular order: impact on the business, whether that's the promotion that they were in or wrestling as a whole. Showmanship, which, you know, is obvious, the high flyers, the great stunts, the great performances, technical wrestling ability, best match. So, you know, obviously you can be elevated if you wouldn't necessarily be in the top 15 of all time, but you were in your head considered in one of the best matches of all time. Best rivalries and best involvements in rivalries. I think that we can all agree, 99% of great works involve great rivalries, and I think that we need to sort of include that in the context of the discussion. Impact on your era is going to be a big thing. You know, defining different eras of professional wrestling is obviously going to move you up the list. And your mic skills. I think that is an important thing to include on the list, as much as it's sort of, I think we yada over Mike's skills a lot when we're talking about these wrestlers, where it's like he had this match with this person, he had this match with this person. You know, he wasn't that great on the mic, but I think that it's important. I don't think it's the most important thing, but in the context of a lot of these guys that we're about to discuss, they were who they were because of who they were on the mic. They, you loved them because of who they were on the mic. So as much as the actual performances in the matches are important, I think the mic skills should be in there. So I slid that one in there sneakily at the end. Not to be confused with showmanship. It's like, in my head, it's sort of a different thing. And I hope everyone sort of understands that. Last caveat, I hope everybody at home can understand the rules, but the last caveat is nothing they did outside of professional wrestling can negatively or positively impact their ranking. So inevitably, we're going to talk about The Rock. It doesn't fucking matter that San Andreas made $100 million at the box office. Nobody gives a shit. We're talking about
there.
Yeah,
dude, you did. I like that.
but we're here to talk about his impact on professional wrestling and all the criteria we just discussed. So I think, guys, is that clear? Do you think everyone's going to understand that? I think that's basically the kind of outline of the game we're playing here. So if nobody has anything to add, I'm going to go straight to Mike for your number 15.
God, I already hate my list, but I believe in it too. That's so. Number 15 is
Sound like you're talking about fantasy football.
It's Eddie Guerrero.
Interesting.
I think Eddie Guerrero is one of the biggest underachievers in professional wrestling because he should have been a world champion way sooner than he was. I think that by the time that he got to beat Brock at No Way Out in 2004 and go on to have that great match with Kurt at WrestleMania 20, like he tragically passed away about a year and a half later. But his feuds, like if you talk about we'll just go showmanship. If you talk about showmanship, the way that he was able to captivate an audience, whether it was just in a cruiserweight capacity in WCW, from I would say his 5-star match with Ray at Halloween Havoc, to the way he was able to get over in WWE by lying, cheating, and stealing. I mean, that entire gimmick was hysterical. It was great. And he influenced so many people. So I think that his positive impact on the business, like we're still feeling that. And I think you can't have a top 15 without Eddie Guerrero.
Wow. I mean, let's answer that question right now. Ray, can we have a top 15 without Eddie Guerrero? Are you going to use your veto?
I mean, I had someone different, but I mean, listen, Eddie Guerrero is phenomenal.
I think at the end we'll read out our top 15 lists.
Yeah.
Just in case you want to save, like if you think like fuck it, I'll do it at 14 for this guy, and you can start to switch it out as you go. But at the end, we'll tell each other what we had for our top 15s. But we'll be spoiler free at the start. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Eddie was phenomenal, man. Once again, like you said, Mike, that No Way Out match against Brock Lesnar, I still watch that match 3 to 4 times a year. Once again, I know the outcome, I know the spots, but it's just like it takes me on a ride every time. And obviously, Michael Cole, who was on that call, always asked to that match. So yeah, I think most listening to this when they hear this won't disagree. Maybe until they hear was that my number 15 or yours, DK? So. But yeah, love Eddie. I can't argue against Eddie.
I'm gonna use my veto. And here's the thing. I was always going to, because I knew you guys weren't gonna have the same 15 as me, and I want to get these people in. Obviously, Ray, you're still available to veto mine. Since I'm vetoing Mike's, he can't veto me. But you can veto mine if you want. I feel bad that you picked Eddie Guerrero. I was gonna enjoy vetoing your 15 no matter what it was, except if you picked R.I.P. Eddie Guerrero. I mean, it's a little sad to kick him off the list. But I think for context, and I think because of the conversation around this particular person right now, I'd like to get it in just to continue the conversation and maybe a little bit of revisionist history around it. You guys don't have to use your veto for this, but tell me if I can do this because I have sort of 2 options here. I'd like to have it be the Von Erich family. But if you don't want me to include them as a group, I'll just do Fritz. And I'll tell you why. I'd like the Von Erichs obviously were like a big part of wrestling in their era, and their tragedy surrounding them as well. I think for the strangely, I mean, I don't know if it's bad luck or if it's just the nature of the sport. I think there's going to be a lot of tragedy talked about. We've already done 2. A lot of dead motherfuckers in the Von Erich family. A potential Oscar-winning movie, Iron Claw, coming out about them this year. So, and it's obviously sort of reignited the conversation around the problematic character that was Fritz von Erich. But again, in the context of wrestling, to have been essentially responsible for the WCCW and given guys starts like Jake the Snake Roberts, who might come up, Shawn Michaels, who I know is going to fucking come up because we have Mike on the show, but I mean, he should anyway, top 15. And Ric Flair, you know, guys that come through that we're definitely going to be discussing today, and works and storylines and matches that are still legendary today. And you know, maybe a classic match might not immediately jump to mind when you talk about Fritz specifically. I think there's a few classic matches when you talk about the Von Erichs and the Freebirds in that motion. And like, you know, and obviously a very compelling human interest story, like sort of around the whole family anyway. But with Fritz specifically and his sort of impact and his character developing in that wrestling world, I really think that modern wrestling, you know, the 90s, the Attitude Era, I think all that would have been very different if it wasn't for the guys that he put over, the characters that he developed, and some of the works that like were repeated and ripped off for decades to come. I'd like to have him on our list just because, as much as he might not have been the nicest guy in the world by all reports, that is a lot of motherfuckers that are going to end up on this list. And I think he had a huge impact that's not talked about enough in the context of professional wrestling. So, Ray, you're welcome to veto me and put yours on there if you think it's less deserving than Eddie Guerrero. If you want to put him back on there, I understand, but that's how the game is played.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've come out the gate swinging with legends, and once again, you made a compelling argument too. You know, so I feel like the one who I picked may get vetoed out of the. So I'll just give my pick now. Mine's a Sting, the icon. I think, you know, with Sting.
So
Sting,
do you want to put him at 14 then? Do you want to move on since you have the 14th pick?
Yeah. So we can put.
Okay,
Sting
great.
Yeah. So we put Sting at 14.
I also had Sting at 14. So I just wanted to let you know. So that worked out great for us.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Sting was WCW. You think about his matches with Flair. You know, he was a Lone Ranger when, you know, the NWO was trying to get put together. Then obviously, you know, he has his stint in WWE, but yeah, he was the guy in WCW for a long time. And this is when he was doing the Ultimate Warrior type 8, when he went to the Crow character as well in WCW. So yeah, was it someone that was gonna be remembered for his mic work? Not at all. But you can't think of
kind of the point though, right? I mean, the sort of the
No,
entire
right,
around his
I know
character was that he didn't
matters.
talk a lot.
Excuse me, I know that matters to some people, but I'm like his quality of work in the ring surpasses anything he would have did on the mic anyways. So I'm glad that we got a chance to grow up in the era where he dominated. Because like I say, he's one of the best I've ever seen.
Mike, do you want to veto that? How do you feel?
Well, I guess my question would be, if I have Sting on my list, but he's higher, would I veto this?
If it's important for you to have him higher, as opposed to just having him in the top 15, you should veto it and mention him when we get to that spot.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and veto it because I think that Sting deserves to be a little bit higher up on the list of the top 15.
So many more
wrestlers
vetoes
of all
early
time.
than I thought there was going to be. That's
And we get how many each? 2?
3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
So
All
me
right.
and you are
All
down
right.
to
So-
2. Ray's got 3 left.
So my 14th pick is actually Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Wow.
And the reason why I think he's number 14 is because I think he gets, in my opinion, and I think a lot of the internet and everyone that watched the time, when he was at his peak, he wasn't the top guy. He was the guy working with the top guy, right? But he was always a great worker. His ring psychology was the best. I think his character arc is probably one of the best in all of pro wrestling, coming from the rich blue blood snob to the degenerate rebel to the corporate backed heel that he carried out so often. And then also, like, if we want to talk about his matches, I think his best match, in my opinion, that he was ever involved in There's two of them. There's the No Way Out 2 out of 3 falls match with Stone Cold Steve Austin back in 2001. And then there's the SummerSlam 2002 match with Shawn Michaels. And I would argue that the reason that those matches were so good was because of who he was in there with. I think his feuds with Shawn, Rock, Austin were also great, but the reason why he should be on this top 15, because I almost left him out. But if we talk about his impact of the business, is the fact that what he's done with NXT and ushering in this whole new era of wrestlers and and sports entertainers in WWE, and the fact that he saved this company from being in a terrible creative standpoint under Vince, and now he's running everything, and things are getting exponentially better. I don't think he's better on the mic than anyone else on this list aside from Sting, but he's a better worker than most. But I don't think like his impact now. Ask me in 10 years where he goes up. I bet he's going to be in my top 10 just based on what he's done with creative. So 14 is Triple H for me.
I'm not going to veto that, just because it's more important for me to keep my 2 vetoes that I have left, and I almost had him at 15. He was 15 plus for me, 16. Definitely because of, to your point, like his impact on the business side of things. I have a lot of respect for how he's been able to work in what I can only imagine is a very frustrating situation over the last decade plus, with the Vince McMahon sort of like, just refusing to fucking die. And I just think, I just think like, I think that he has creatively, like you said, as well as capitalistically, moved the business in a lot of really positive directions. And I think if he didn't do what he did by, inseminating Stephanie McMahon and then inseminating the world of world wrestling entertainment, I'm not sure what that business looks like right now, and or what that promotion looks like right now, and therefore the business, because that's where we are right now. Your point about NXT is also a really good one. I don't have any. I mean, as a wrestler, he's just not my favorite. Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly that like a lot of the matches that you immediately think of when you think of Triple H are because of his opponents, and he was very lucky to be in the era that he was in. Because I think if it was him in a more dead era, maybe like, if he had to come 10 years before or 10 years after, I don't know if he's able to carry, the promotion in the way that he's able to get involved when he's there. But I think everything you said is a good point. I have no problem with him being at 14. Ray?
Yeah, this is my first veto. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, we're never gonna get out of the top bottom two. I love it.
He's in my top 10, and it's all for what Mike just talked about, like his impact on the business. And I'm like, two of his best matches. I'm like, you didn't name some of it, like the Royal Rumble match with him and Foley. That's got
he can't veto it though. I vetoed his pick.
No, you're right.
Only
I can veto Mike. Only I can veto Mike, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
But please do talk shit about his pick. I mean, I was.
No, Mike, listen. The Mick Foley match at the Rumble. Like, we just talked about the back-to-back matches with Taker at WrestleMania 27, 28. The main event with him, Cena and Edge at 22. Like, there's so many moments we could go back. The triple threat with him, Benoit and Shawn at 20. Like, so there's so many matches that come to mind.
He just highlighted my point though, is that every match you just mentioned, he was in the ring with the guy.
Are you saying that you think he should be higher, Ray?
Yeah, he's higher on mine. So
gotcha.
Yeah, he's higher on mine. Yeah, so
well, at least he's on the list. He's unfortunately stuck at 14 because you can't veto. But I think your point is good. I do just sort of, I tend to, you guys know my feelings on Triple H. We've talked about him. I do just sort of tend to agree with Mike that he was elevated by the people that put him over. But that's me at 13 then, right? I get to pick 13. Yep. I think you guys are maybe going to be a little mad that this guy's as low as he is, but we'll see. My number 13 is John Cena. I'm going to start with the reason I feel in both of your eyes right now. I have a veto coming. That's fine. I feel that he obviously deserves to make the top 15. I struggled with putting him as low as he is. I really sort of wanted to put him higher, but as I started to add names, he just sort of kept dropping. That's no insult to John Cena. I think as far as workers in the history of the promotion, and of the sport in general, I think he takes the cake. I think he uh he's less elevated by his opponents than, say, a Triple H is, but he also did have a lot of great rivalries, especially like the very fat ones he had with The Rock. Um, some of the best kind of back and forth microphone stuff of all time. Very unsure if some of it was a work, still to this day. Like, I'm sure you guys maybe have a better instinct or hunch than I do, but I genuinely do think that they had, if not a competitive, a fiercely competitive rivalry IRL, a really, really good work in the history of their rivalry. I think that he had some really great matches, like Seth Rollins. I think that he had, again, this doesn't apply to like why he's on the list, but I think that it shows how good of an employee he was. How good, his career follow-ups have been ever since. He's obviously quite self-effacing and self-aware. I always really liked him, whether he was, performing as a pure white meat babyface and doing great, or one of my favorite heels of all time. I think he had a ton of personality. He came through the organization at exactly the right time for someone like him. And he really looked the part, and I think that that's what I like. A lot of the guys on my list, I realized after the fact, are guys who really, really look the part. Like guys that just you believe that he can throw this man like across the ring. You believe that he can do this stuff. And he always just looked like he was having fun doing it. He always just looked like he was having an absolute blast doing his job. And by all accounts, he's a perfectly nice man. So I really like John Cena. I honestly think he might be a little low on my list and it might get vetoed, but that's the reason he's on my top 15. Mike?
Yeah,
Ray, anything?
so I have him on the list, obviously. I'm not going to veto you because he's not too much higher on mine than he is yours.
Okay, good.
Only for the reason because there's no knock on him in terms of anything you just mentioned. It's just the people that I have above him are just better
Agreed.
workers,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think the most admirable thing about Cena is that he was the guy that ran with that company after Rock, Austin left. Like the Attitude Era was done, and he was the Ruthless Aggression era, and he was the guy in a time when everyone was trying to make Triple H the guy, but Cena was still the guy that everyone loved, and he doesn't get the props that he deserves as a worker, because he had great matches with Randy Orton, with Undertaker, with Shawn Michaels, with obviously Kurt Angle, but also like the Orton stuff was when he did it, that was tough because everyone knew that those were like the two top dogs, and they were trying to make it Rock Austin, but their Iron Man match was phenomenally entertaining back in the day. So I love the pick.
Great. Ray, any issues? Too low?
It was too low for me, but I'm gonna save the veto. But it was too low for me. But
Slid right in there.
yeah, way too low. But yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, his impact on the business is undeniable. Like I said, he was higher for me. Once again, I kind of stopped watching a little bit, and then towards the end of the ruthless aggression era, and I felt like he kind of pulled me back in around the WrestleMania 28 match between him and The Rock. So yeah, I mean, listen, he what he's been able to do, whether it's on the mic, whether it's and I mean, once again, yeah, he doesn't have the greatest matches of all time. But I do think most would consider him to be in that top 5 range because of everything all together.
Yeah, and honestly, showmanship while he was wrestling too. I just feel like the acting portion of it while he was, doing moves. Not everybody's great at that. It's not something that everyone needs, but it's something you really notice if someone's particularly bad at it or if they're particularly good at it. And I just think like his expressions, like, the way the guy that he was, the character that he was playing, always coming through when he was doing these like athletic feats, I was always just very impressed by. And I have the same experience with the ruthless aggression era. Why is it so hard to say? We all three of us stumbled over it. Somebody should have talked about that in marketing when they were coming up with it. But I think that I had the same experience. I feel like John Cena sort of pulled me back in especially because of the age we all were when it was like, you know, it was a time where we might have lost that sparkle for the sport. And I think a lot of people have that same sort of story. And honorable mention to the AJ Styles match. I don't know if anybody brought that up, but I enjoyed that match quite a bit.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yep.
Well, all right. I know he was a little low, but it just kind of happened that I did him dirty there. But at least we all agree that he's on the top 15. Mike, you're up with number 12.
So my number 12 pick on this list, I have to change it right now because the guy that I have at 13 hasn't been messaged yet. And I'm gonna go with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, number 12. I think in the 80s when what it looked like to be a professional wrestler was either over 6'5", you had to look like you were on roids and you could lift a house. He didn't do that. He told a story through his promo. And he had great matches, and like I would say one of the most phenomenal feuds with the Four Horsemen and Ric Flair in particular, right? Like that entire hit, he and Ric Flair carried the NWA in the 80s, and the NWA in the 80s was the promotion that was number one. And it was no doubt. And you think of all of the impact that he had in the business in terms of the dusty finish and his backstage in WCW, in WWE, in TNA, and then at NXT. Again, I'm giving NXT a lot of due because it is like the next generation. But every single one of them right now still refer to themselves as Dusty's kids, much to a detriment and to the angst of his actual children. So he took such pride in the business. I think he was a guy that. Yeah, the son of a plumber and all of that, like that promo was he's one of the greatest talkers in the history of the business. And he was able to help teach others how to be good on the microphone, which once you're good on the mic, the rest you can figure it out. Like if you're a great wrestler but you can't speak, you're kind of dead in the water. And he understood that because he wasn't a great wrestler, but he got them into the building. He could talk every single person in. So I'm gonna go number 12, the American Dream.
Well, coincidentally, he was also my number 12. So no veto from me. That just makes me feel good that like I'm matching up. I had a same 14 as Ray and the same 12 as you. So at least I'm the real wrestling knowledge. I'm at least keeping up. But yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I can't really add anything to that. In my notes, I wrote that on my whole list, I think he's the best pure babyface on the entire list. I think that he sort of invented how to do it properly. I think that there might be an argument, and maybe Ray will make this, I don't know, but there might be an argument that if you watch some of his matches now, they're a little dated. I don't know if that's his fault. I mean, you get into the whole sort of like, it was Bob Cousy that good situation when you talk about like the context of eras. I don't know if that has anything to like, for somebody that in order to progress the sport or the world of sports entertainment, however you want to look at it, you have to have done your best in your era, right? So I don't know if that really takes points off of them. I'm just pointing out something devil's advocate style, but I love Dusty Rhodes. I think that he's an inspiration and a big reason why my favorite wrestler did a lot of the things that he did, Bret the Hitman Hart. But I think that yeah, like the underdog story, the son of a plumber thing, his advocacy, his heart of gold, essentially, I think is a big part of the reason why he's on this list. But like you said, I think that if you were putting somebody in a room to train them to be a babyface in wrestling, the first tape you roll is Dusty Rhodes. So
yep.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I got no veto for you.
Yeah, I mean, we all had to say add him at the same number. Like,
great.
He was
just to be clear, he wasn't at my number 12, but you skipped my number 13, so I had to put him at 12.
Got it.
Yeah. Amazing though. Let me tell you about Hard Times, Daddy.
Hard Times promo. You can watch Hard Times.
Top 5 promo of all time. So
you can watch that in 1989, 2009, 2049, and it's still going to make you believe in the American Dream.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. We're obviously going to be discussing Ric Flair at some point in the next few minutes, but
Yep.
I think he's a big part of the reason why Ric Flair is as high on my list as he is. And I'm glad that we're all on the same page about Dusty. I didn't want to have an argument about him. He's too great. Ray, you got number 11. Do the honors.
Well, sticking with American, I'm going with Kurt Angle.
Whoa.
Yeah, Kurt Angle to me, once again, no one picked up the business quicker than he did, as they all say. Great matches after great matches. The first thing I come to mind, I think about the 06 match with him and Taker and No Way Out. I think about the match with him and Brock at WrestleMania 19. Yeah, he just always delivered, and once again, was definitely had great comedic timing. He's another one that you think about when it comes to the ruthless aggression era, besides Cena. So yeah, he carried that era, the wrestling machine. I wish his run was a little bit longer in that time with WWE, but yeah, he's to me that's a perfect spot for him. But I'm open to hear if he should be higher, lower, whatever.
I didn't have him on my list, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I just didn't. And then honestly, it was, I figured he would be. I figured you guys would mention him. I figured he'd make it. But it's just sort of a personal preference thing for me. He was just never really my cup of tea. I respect all the things that are definitely true about him. He's probably the best athlete that's ever been in wrestling. I'm a little sick of hearing about the broken neck and it's just the same fucking story. It just got a little singular to me.
It's true, DK.
It's just, and also I think this is going to be controversial, but I just thought his character was a little lazy. Like it's like he was just him. It's just he was just who he was. Like there was no real character. There was no real story. It was just like, I was an Olympic wrestler. It's like, all right. I mean, can you have died and come back to life or something cool? I just never, and it just got more kind of simplified as time went on. And I do have a ton of respect for his technical wrestling ability. And I think that a lot of the people that made my list are there for the fact that they were great technical wrestlers. Mike and I have had this sort of back and forth before about high flyers and technical guys. And I did always prefer the technical guys, so I probably should like Kurt Angle more than I do, but I don't know. His face always creeped me out, his eyes and his neck, and there was just so many steroids. And I don't know. I know it's controversial. I understand, but he's not on my list. I'm not going to veto because the guy I have at 11 is almost certainly going to make it at some point. So I'll just leave it at that. Mike?
So if I don't veto this, I can't mention him again, right, on my list?
No, he's at 11 if you don't veto it.
All right. So I'm vetoing this. Okay. So, Kurt Angle is the fastest person to ever pick up the sport of professional wrestling ever. He came in and, to DK's point, was cutting like babyface promos because he thought he was going to be cheered, and he was booed incessantly for years. And he was booed by being a babyface, by being an Olympic gold medalist and an Olympic hero. He instantly came in and he put over Taz when Taz came in, which was huge. He made other stars. He made guys like, he didn't, obviously you don't need to make Stone Cold Steve Austin, but at the time in Stone Cold's carear where he wasn't
I think
known,
you do, and I think we all know who did, but that's fine.
But
it's not Kurt Angle.
But in 1999, when Austin wasn't having the matches that he was back when he was wrestling Bret in 96 and 97, he had great matches with Kurt Angle. And then 2001. And I think that you're mitigating the impact that he had because you're not talking about the fact that he saved TNA. When he left WWE in 2006 and went there, that company was this close to actually competing with them for the ratings and for advertisement for his entire stay there. So he may have not had like the rocket impact on WWE, but he saved another wrestling company. And when there's two wrestling companies, it's better for everybody. So I'm vetoing it. He is not at number 11. He's not. The number 11 is.
I would almost disagree about the fastest guy to ever pick up the sport. I think Brock Lesnar could maybe get a shout at that. Like, I think he picked it up pretty fucking quickly. And I think that, like, of that type, I would prefer Brock to Kurt. Again, personally,
While Kurt had another broken neck against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19, and Brock Lesnar does a shooting star press and almost breaks his own damn neck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He gives himself a concussion. He then went through the rest of that 23-minute match, calling it like really hurt, and he protected Brock the entire time and put him over.
No,
Like,
and like I
that's-
said, great technical wrestler. Like I don't think he ever like really hurt anybody. I don't, he's not. I don't think that
And he could have. And he
and he definitely could have. And I think that what we're talking about here. I mean, this happened sooner than I expected, but what we're talking about here is the greats of the sport. So we're splitting hairs. Like I'm not putting him in any sort of like Goldberg category or any sort. I don't have anything to say about him detrimentally that really holds any water. It's again just that like I didn't prefer him. I thought the ankle lock was like sort of a stupid thing to be the most famous for, but also I'm looking at the rest of my list and I can't possibly take anybody else out to put Kurt.
You look at I think the only thing that I would say, and not that I had to, I already vetoed it. So he's.
But who are you putting in instead? I'm curious.
The guy that just when you thought you had all the answers, he changed the questions, and Rowdy Roddy Piper. I think Rowdy Roddy Piper is one of the only examples, and there are only two examples that I can think of in all professional wrestling, where the guy didn't need a world title to be considered one of the top guys. And he could talk you into the building. He could make you so mad and want to hit him, and then he'd beat the hell out of the babyface and he would leave. He was just as much a part of making WrestleMania what it is now by his interactions with Mr. T, right? And then WrestleMania 2, when he had him in was it the boxing match, the fake boxing match, or whatever it was in Chicago or New York, wherever it was that year. It was in 3 different spots. But I think when you think about it, in the 80s, he was a top heel. In the 90s, he was a top babyface. He was one of the original I would be protagonist against the NWO and Hulk Hogan in WCW. And he was a guy that he was just himself. He was the most uncharacteristic babyface because he's walking out with his kilt, with his bagpipes. Like he was just, he was recognizable. And he did not ever win a world heavyweight championship, and he didn't need it ever.
Well, I mean, you're the one who told me very definitively when we first started doing podcasts together that winning, and you said this to me in the context of you not thinking Bret Hart is as good as I think Bret Hart is, winning doesn't matter. And that Bret Hart always thought winning mattered. And I think Rowdy Roddy Piper is a great example of how your legacy really is in this particular version of sports entertainment. It is not impacted by, if you as heavily as if you win a world title. I'm not going to use a veto on that. Only because I had Rowdy Roddy Piper higher, but not that much higher. He's my personal second favorite wrestler in the history of the sport. I love that he was there to kick ass and chew bubblegum, but he was all out of gum. I have a huge appreciation for him as an actor in some great cult films, but obviously that's not what we're talking about here. I'm happy enough to put him at 11. Ray, I don't know how you feel about Roddy. I mean, I love him, but
that's fine. Like I said, once again, that's a legend. I would not slander Roddy Piper.
And again, I mean, talk about looking the part. A guy with just a face that was born to go and do what he did for his career. He looks like if you ask somebody to draw a wrestler from the 1980s, it's like he really looked the part. He had a ton of charisma. Just overall a wonderful human being. It sounds like the business is a sadder place without his influence. I don't think you get Stone Cold, The Rock, Dean Ambrose. I don't think you get guys like that in the versions that you get without Rowdy Roddy Piper. So I'm happy enough to have him at 11. I had him higher, but I think that's good. I can't really spend a veto on that. This might make everybody mad. I'm at number 10, right? That's what's next. I got Hulk Hogan.
So.
Hulk Hogan at number 10. Is that too low?
No, I got him there too.
Okay, great. I think if we had maybe done this podcast, started this podcast a decade ago, he might have been higher up on the list. I think that I know we're talking about things inside the squared circle that matter, inside the business that matter, but I do think that he has just fallen down in my estimations, and I can't really help that. over the course of the last 20 years because of what I learned about, like, what was kind of circulating around the business. Now, in a positive light, he was the face of wrestling, I think, for longer than any other person. I think that if you ask a regular Joe walking down the street to name a wrestler, there's, depending on their age, a very good chance that they'll say Hulk Hogan still to this day. I think that he was extremely important in showing people in this sport that they could be more than wrestlers, that they could move into other things. Not to say that just being a wrestler is not perfectly legitimately fine and very, very difficult, but he was kind of the first brand to really sort of break out at the level that he did from professional wrestling, which elevated the business and sort of kept people coming back. He was, I think, my personal favorite era of his is the face era of Hulk Hogan, the fucking stay in school kids Hulk Hogan, not the later. I think because you guys do prefer the NWO Hulk Hogan, right? Is that what I glean from listening to this show? You prefer the later version, the sleeveless black T-shirt headband Hulk Hogan?
I think it just showed a side of him that none of us thought he had.
Right. Like Rain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because he had just been the real American, eat your vitamin, take your vitamins, say your prayers, that type of guy. When he came out and spat all over that,
yeah.
I mean, he ignited the business twice.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that him not being the number one guy in that later era, I think showed a loyalty to the sport and the company that was admirable. I think that he's probably, as far as company men go with Vince McMahon, I think he's right up there. And I think that, you don't think so, Mike?
I think they have a very love-hate relationship.
But he always stayed pretty, like, he never...
Except for when he went to WCW.
I guess, but I mean, that's,
almost
you're
put
making...
put WWE out of business.
Us. I think that's fair enough. But I do think that, like, him and Vince McMahon are still friends. I think that, like, they made a lot of money together over the years, and I think that, like, unless that's not true, are they not still friends? Do they hate each other? Did I miss something?
So
yeah, I don't think
so I think they love each other, right? I think that's true. But the one thing that Hulk wanted from Vince was back in like because he talked to Vince to go back in 98, 99.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he wanted shares of WWF.
And Vince never going to give you that.
And Vince said no.
Yeah,
and that's kind of stuck with Hogan since.
Fair enough. I will concede that point. What I will say is, as far as you mentioned the Real American, I do think if we were doing a theme song draft, a theme song game show, I would put that firmly at number one. I think it's the best theme song in the history of wrestling. Personally, I mean, I just do. I know you think it's Shawn Michaels, but I just
no.
Who do you think it is?
Stone Cold.
No, come on.
That glass and yeah.
I guess. I mean, it is iconic, but I will say that the for me, and I think for a lot of people, the sound of Real American is the sound of wrestling. And I think that's true of a lot of people. I think that the most, maybe not the best match of all time, although maybe you can make the argument, but I think the most iconic match in the history of wrestling is him and Andre the Giant. I think that shot of those two looking at each other is probably, one of the first photos you see if you walk into the WWE Hall of Fame. I think he had impact on the business, mic skills, technical skills, a great character, an ability to play both sides. And like you said, he changed with the eras, which I don't think a lot of wrestlers were able to do. We've talked a lot about Bret Hart being my fave, and he was not able to do that. Like that's the one really big knock on Bret, in my opinion, is that he was so rigid in his approach to who his character was and like how he represented himself in the sport. And like you said, Hulk, you thought he was going to be like that, but he wasn't. So I think, I'm putting him at number 10. Ray says he has him there too. Doesn't sound like you're going to veto Mike. Do we want any last honorable mentions for the Hulkster? It's interesting. I didn't know about all the complicated contentiousness between him and Vince McMahon. I really thought that they were homies.
Well, I mean, Mike, you can't, like, he literally, like, so once again, he almost put him out of business in WCW. Like, so there had to be some type of.
I guess, but like, doesn't it feel like the WWE's been almost gone out of business 60 fucking times? It's like the thing that won't die. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
always an era where it's like, oh shit, like what's happening here? Like what's going on with this? Well, maybe it's not going to work out for Vince this time, but like, you can't stop the man. You know, he just won't go away. Ask Triple H.
Well, yeah, no, but Vince, right, exactly. But no, but Vince ultimately knew what draw Hogan was, which is why they brought him back in 02.
Also, the crowd work.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, I loved his 02 to 05 run. Truth be told, that theme he had the second time around, to me, is just as good as the Real America theme.
Voodoo Child?
Huh?
Voodoo Child by Hendrix? Yeah, that's
I
that's
did.
the
Oh,
hard one to beat.
that part at the beginning. Oh, that's phenomenal.
That's just a banger of a song.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
I mean, that song is great in a lot of different contexts. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's probably a better song. But for me, like Real American makes me feel like I'm 6 years old again. Like it just puts me right in that spot.
No,
you know?
most people would agree with that sentiment. Real America definitely top 5 theme though, definitely.
But I think that if there's 50 podcasts out there right now making this, doing this exact same thing, I feel like Hulk Hogan is in the top 4 in some of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's on the Mount Rushmore of some. I would say.
Yeah.
Most, I would say.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like you're that popular here at Missing the Point there, Hulkster. But here we are. Okay, number 9, Mike, you're up.
Number
y'all
9.
2 vetoes left, right? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yep.
Or no, Ray was not able to use his veto, so I think you still have 3, Ray.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So me and Mike have 2, Ray has 3. Just checking in now that we've done the.
Should we recap the 15 through 10?
Yeah, totally. So 15, Fritz von Erich. 14, Triple H. 13, John Cena. 12, Dusty Rhodes. 11, Rowdy Roddy Piper. And 10, Hulk Hogan. Mike, please do the honors of telling us our possible number 9.
I have The Undertaker.
Wow, that's low. Wow, that's fucking low.
Wow.
Damn.
So
I really thought I was going to skate through not using a fucking veto for a while. That's crazy low. Okay,
I'm
go
trying.
ahead.
I'm trying to get rid of your vetoes before we get to the top 3.
I know you are.
I think so. So The Undertaker, in the context of what he did for WWE, I mean, his career from 1990 through his last match in 2020, I think that's another guy that changed with the times. He knew when his character was getting stale. He was a guy that early in his career wasn't known for having banger wrestling matches. He was more stoic, very slow. But then when he would move quickly, like you would catch on, you would notice. The reason why he's number 9 and he's not any higher in my list is because I do think that it wasn't until we got to, let's say, WrestleMania 24, in my opinion, that he became an actual draw for WrestleMania because of the streak. I think that too many of us, myself included, took him for granted for as long as he was there, because when he was the guy, like he was never the guy for a sustained amount of time. We're having the belt. Yeah, I thought I loved the thing that he did when he went from the Ministry of Darkness character and then came back as the American Badass, because that's ballsy. That is, talk about 2 polar opposite characters. He still managed to stay in the top of the crowd there. But I don't think in any era, I don't think that he was the number 1 guy in any of the eras that he was in. But he was the locker room leader, and as everyone would say, like he was like JR is famous for saying the conscience of the WWE. Like that's what he was, and he was a star maker. He would help put guys over. But his matches, if you think about, everyone's going to say like his matches with Shawn, his matches with Punk, his matches with Triple H, his matches with Batista, and Batista's the only one on that list that had Mania that I would argue that Taker carried, and it was a 5-star match.
So
Ray, you want to go first on this one?
What about Edge?
Edge carried that.
Even so at 24, then when they followed up at SummerSlam too. Yeah, I mean, he's higher on my list than 9. So I guess this could be my first veto, right? This
Yeah,
fine.
if you want.
Then Ray,
Um,
let BK veto it.
I wasn't gonna, to be honest with you. I mean, it hurt to have him this low, but I
I had one to spare, but yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, you named once again 30 years of greatness. Yeah, I agree to an extent that there was some matches early on. I mean, granted, that's on Vince because what the fuck? Why are you putting him with Giant Gonzalez in a match? Oh God, that was terrible.
King Kong Bundy.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. What was the one at 15? Was that him and Boston Man?
Boston, yeah.
Boston Man?
Where he
Yeah,
hung- where he hung him.
that was that was bad. But I'm like, I think about the the matches he had with Kane at Mania. I think about the Highway to Hell match for him and Stone Cold. Like, so I mean, there's plenty of things that come to mind with that. I love the Big Evil era as well. I'll make you famous. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think to me, he warrants being in the top 5 because of the impact. Which you and I have talked about on our previous show. So you can go back and listen to that. But yeah, he's top 5 because of the impact alone. Whether he was carried in matches or not, like just everyone viewed him as the standard, whether he was the top guy or not. That's how I view him.
So
Yeah,
who are you putting at number 9?
Hold on. I had it then went off my phone. I had Jericho there.
another
guy that was
He didn't make my list.
He's been in.
Me neither.
You said say it again?
He didn't make my list, which
Me
means
neither.
I would make his.
Oh, that's well, that's crazy that he didn't make the list for either one. That's wild. Yeah, I mean Jericho to me. You want to talk about mic work? Talk about his matches as well. With Eddie Guerrero and WCW. First undisputed champion. I know that doesn't get looked at as much because of what happened that night, but yeah, I mean, to me, what Jericho's done in all different companies he's been in, he's been, if not at the top, but definitely near the top in every promotion he's been in. So, and like I said, between his mic work, what he's done, in every promotion, I think he warrants being at that spot personally.
Man, I might have to veto Ray. Hold on a second. Let me think about this. So on the Undertaker, that's crazy low to me. I had him much, much higher. A lot of the reasons Ray said, but also like one of the categories that we sort of discussed for the criteria of this list is great matches. And I just think his resume of great matches is crazy. And I think to say, I'll give you Shawn, like Shawn's probably his best match, right? Like, I think we can sort of agree on that. And I think we've discussed that before. And I think that a lot of that is Shawn, but also like the stylistic matchup of the two men, the size, the abilities, like this, I think he brought the best out of a lot of guys, but I think that, like, I think that, yeah, maybe they're the guys, they're the stars, but he's such a worker and the longevity. I mean, forget the streak. Like, that is what it is. Like, that's a thing that's made up. I just think as far as like, I genuinely think they were like, he's won a few of these in a row. We should just keep doing that and like make it a thing. Yep. And like, I just, it's just kind of like, all right. But I don't want to be too heavily influenced by the fact that it sort of still feels pretty recent that he retired. But I mean, the longevity, like you said, the way he held the company together in very, very tough times, like your whole list of the reasons why he's on your list makes it seem to me like he should be higher. So I'm glad he was vetoed. At number 9, Jericho wasn't on my list. I've never liked him. I agree that he has good mic skills. I think that he's still doing great work. In the promotion that he's in now. But I think that I'm not going to veto him. I have to save it to the top. I know Mike is going to be in a knife fight with me at the very top of this list, so I have to save my vetoes. I don't think it's a big deal to have Chris Jericho at number 9. I didn't have him there, but we're now all down to 2 vetoes, and number 9 is officially Chris Jericho. So number 8 is you, Ray.
Going with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's pretty low.
For hate?
That's pretty low.
I mean, you just had to take it low, so don't miss me with that. So let's let the go there.
Fucking low though.
Once again, love the
You guys are killing my top 5 right now.
love the mic skills. Once again, the matches didn't do it for me. Once again, he has some great rivalries, obviously. But the matches for me didn't like, I wasn't like, oh my God.
What about the Dusty Rhodes stuff we talked about already?
No, I'm saying that. That's the only rivalry. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. But I'm like, it has to
Ricky
be.
Steamboat?
Say it again.
Ricky Steamboat?
Yeah, okay. So there's 2 that come to mind. Great. But I'm like, for me, to me, yeah, I remember the promos more than anything else. The promos to me made him legendary, which is fine. But I'm like, that to me puts him there. That's why he's not as high or higher on the list there. But he did inspire a generation. That's why I put him at that list, at that number. So I gave credit where it was due, but that's why he wasn't a little bit higher on the list.
Mike, what do you got to say about that? Low for me.
Wait, I think you're up.
No, I'm just saying to react to his
Yeah, go ahead, veto. Go ahead, veto.
You don't have to veto it. Yeah, I'm not going to veto it. I
What?
can't afford it. I'm not going to veto it. I can't afford it. But I just think my shit's going to be controversial over the next few picks. So I'd like to hear your opinion on it. Like for me, we just talked about his rivalry with Dusty Rhodes and why it's like one of the best ever.
And
2
Ricky
guys
Steamboat.
yeah,
And
but I
Harley
mean
Race.
him and Dusty are both going to be in the top 15. There's 2 guys on the top 15, so it's like that's obviously got to be a great rivalry. The one drawback, I don't know if I'm that concerned about this, but I think the one criticism that a lot of people do level at Rick is all the blading stuff. Like I think that he was a little he might have worked a little bloody. But I mean he brought it so hard. Like if we're doing the categories of rivalries, he's up there. If we're doing the category of mic skills, he's up there. If we're maybe number 1. If we're doing category of showmanship, he's up there. Technical ability, he's up there. Like he's got all the things. So it's hard for me to maybe I will veto this. I don't know. What do you think, Like 8 is low. 8 is low.
It's fucking really low. He is a 16-time world heavyweight champion. He was the guy that went into every other territory as the champion, as the heel that people paid to see lose, and he fucking never lost. And he made every other face better. Like he would get 0 offense in a match, and he would just sneak away with the victory. Like the 4 horsemen. To talk about that, he was the leader of one of the most iconic factions in professional wrestling. Without the 4 horsemen, there's no NWO. There is no Evolution, which he was also in, by the way. There's no G-Generation X. His impact on the business. I mean, I would argue he's your number 8. That your next 7 were all influenced or impacted by Ric Flair. So
That's definitely true of my list for sure. With one exception, but yeah, it's mostly true of my list for sure.
Yeah, Bret wasn't influenced by Ric Flair at all. But DK, it's you. Like, what are you gonna do?
Oh my God, I'll use a veto. I'll use a veto for this. I will just because I can't stomach him being this low on the list. And I think if I look back, I mean, I'm probably sacrificing Bret Hart's position on this list by using this veto right now, knowing a couple of other ones that I have. I personally had Rick at 4, which I thought was low, to be honest, going into it. So I'm going to veto for all the reasons we just discussed. And I might shock you guys with this one, but it might be a good move. I'm going to put Mick Foley at number 8.
Oh my!
I'm going to put Mick Foley at number 8.
He's on my list. He's on my list. Okay, I like that.
I think that as far as people that sacrificed for the company, I think he's number 1 on that list. Sacrificed his body, sacrificed his longevity, sacrificed his stomach. Some of my favorite characters that have ever been invented. The bravery to get as fucking weird as he got with some of the character choices that he made. that were so heavily influenced a lot of other people in that era. I was always, when I was about 5, I think, or 6 years old, was when Goldust hit the scene. And I always thought he was the strangest motherfucker of all time. And I mean, obviously that was sort of the point. And he used to actually freak me out as like a 6-year-old. Like I wasn't able to like actually do any of, like I wasn't really able to watch him because he freaked me out so hard. Can you guys hear my dog barking? Is that like messing up my audio? Hold on a second.
No.
1 second.
The dog probably agrees.
Flair date. The hell's wrong with you?
Same thing with Taylor.
But yeah, I mean, I think Mick Foley is my choice for all those reasons. I loved getting freaked out by characters. I loved that era of like that kind of sick, disturbed character that he put forth. And I mean, say what you will, you can criticize The Rock if you want for some of the ways that he beat that poor man's ass, but and it might have been a little too much. And I think even Mick Foley says that match was a little bit too much, but that was one of the most entertaining nights of my entire life. So I just think for, you know, what he did for the company, I think that nobody ever should try to emulate his career ever from this point forward for safety reasons. But that man was honestly closer to Evel Knievel than he was to Hulk Hogan. So I think just for his singularness, his singularity, his the fact that you can't name any other wrestlers really like him, the wonderful characters that he played, and the amazing stunts that he did. Probably, if we were making a stunts list, I would probably put his fall as number 1, most impressive, where you didn't fucking die. So yeah, Mick Foley, number 7 for me, or number 8. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not going to veto that. I think.
Did you have him on your list?
No, at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think for a guy that put, you know, Japanese death matches on the map when it wasn't a thing that people knew about here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
His evolution from Cactus Jack to Mick Foley to Mankind to Dude Love.
Oh yeah, just so we're clear, right? I'm not putting the Mick Foley character, like I'm putting the wrestler and all his characters on.
No. But okay. I mean, the only guy to enter the Royal Rumble 3 times, the same one as different characters. And I think if you look from his body of work from like 1990 to 2004, you know, he was off from 2000 to 2004. But when he came back and had that match against Randy Orton, Backlash in 2004. I mean, he was a star maker. He made Triple H. He made Randy Orton. He made Shawn Michaels in 1996 when Shawn was being considered as just a baby face that couldn't do anything. Like that match of Mind Games. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. It was incredible. So yeah, I'm okay. I am perfectly fine with that. Foley at number 8.
I mean, Jesus, Mike, the man's basically crippled now. He doesn't even make your top 15. Like the amount he's put in the line for this company. No. He's probably the worst athlete on our list, but I think, you know, with just an incredibly high tolerance for pain and wonderful character work, he's able to climb up these rankings. So there you are, number 8 with a bullet, Mick Foley. That goes to me then for number 7. God, I feel like
and you have 1 veto left, by the way.
Yes, I'm aware. Thank you, Mike. I'm wondering if I should do gamesmanship now in order to try to get your veto, or if I should just tell you who my next guy is. But I think by just telling you who my next guy is, it might work out for me either way. At number 7, I'm going to put my number 7 was Mick Foley, and my number 8 was Rowdy Roddy Piper, so he was already on the list. So I chose my number 7 for number 8, and now I'm going to choose my number 6 for number 7. And that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think I figured you guys were going to say he was a little bit low. I think that, again, my top 5, I just couldn't justify. I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about Stone Cold. I just couldn't justify him being above anybody in my top 5. Like, these were just, I went through all the reasons. I had him at 2 to start. And as I started to add names to the list, he just got bumped down further and further. And here he is at number 6. I think that if you say the words Attitude Era to me, I think that man's face pops into my head. I think that's true of every single other human being that's ever watched the sport. I think that he played a very unique everyman character that touched the hearts and minds of 13-year-olds all around the world, us included. I think he's probably your buddy's favorite wrestler. I think he might be yours. I think that he had his distinctive gravelly voice, his mic skills, his outfit for that Stone Cold character that really shouldn't have worked and for some reason did. Like I don't know, maybe if he walks out in 2023, like everyone's like, who's this gay biker? But for some reason in 2000, it just, it just blew all our asses off. And I think that like amazing intro song, like I think some of the if he doesn't have my favorite intro song, he probably has my top 3 favorite moments of surprise introductions to a specific match. Like when that glass breaking hits in certain moments in the history of the company, I think those are some of the great works of all time he's involved in. And he does a great job. I mean, he did a great job for the company, and I think that probably the most successful era of all time he's the face of. He's 6 for me just because of everybody else. I'm not going to say anything negative about him.
Yeah, I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin at number 7 is real fucking low. Because if you think about before he turned into the rattlesnake, when he was stunning Steve Austin in WCW with Flying Brian Pillman, and they were the Hollywood Blondes, right? And they had a great tag team run. And then he has one of the best matches of Ricky Steamboat's later career for the U.S. title in WCW. He goes and he literally captivates ECW, and they like Paul Heyman created Stone Cold right then and there. And then the run that he had in WWE in a time when, it was like their backs were up against the wall. Like if Austin doesn't cut that promo on Jake at King of the Ring 1996, I don't know what we're here talking about. Like obviously we're talking about professional wrestling, but I don't know that WWE is the one that wins. And the business was never better than from 98 through 2002, which was also when he was at his peak. You think about the matches that he had, right? 13, obviously Bret. 14 with a broken down, drug addicted Shawn Michaels. 15, The Rock. 17, The Rock. 18, Scott Hall. 19, The Rock, and then in 2022 against Kevin Owens, and he came out and 80,000 people were still losing their freaking mind. Ray was one of them when that music hit.
Sounds like
Ray,
you want to veto.
Ray, are you going to veto this if I don't?
Stop doing that. Just fucking veto.
Like,
does someone else want to do this?
Regardless of your decision, fuck that. I was vetoing. Like, Stone Cold.
Well, I'm not touching it then.
Yeah, no way.
Why'd you give him that? You just let him keep the second veto.
But trust me, he'll
We're gonna need it.
He'll fold at some point. He'll fold. All
right.
Yeah,
well, go ahead and veto it, Ray. Tell me all about it. Again, I mean, I'm not saying anything. I mean everything you're saying.
Mike said it all. Mike said it all about what. I mean, once again, I like. He was our childhood. Like that. I mean,
right.
there's no other thing to add to that. Like he literally was our childhood. He's the first guy you think of, like you mentioned, DK. And once again, the first WrestleMania I watched was 14 when he won the World Championship. Like I just that's forever stuck in my mind. I think about when he had the Miller Lite truck and he's spraying everybody in the ring and he jumps over. Yeah, I mean it's just there's so many moments I could think of. He has to be higher than that. So
who are you putting in?
Say again?
Who are you putting in instead? Number 7.
Let's see.
Ray is so fucking quick draw with the vetoes, and he's always like, "Fuck that, no."
But I'm like,
and he's like, "I don't know."
This is back and forth. You know what? I put The Rock there.
That's who I had as number 7.
Yeah, I put The Rock there, and I'm 7. So
okay. Well, let's talk to me about The Rock.
I mean, once again, someone who kind of came in, fans weren't fucking with, but then, got saved by getting put in the Nation of Domination, which is one of the best factions of all time. They deserve to be in Hall of Fame at some point. All of them, I should say. And yeah, I mean, he goes on a great run. You talk about mic work. He's top 3 on the mic. Gave us great matches as well. And yeah, I mean, once again, I mean, shoot, the man comes back the other night and still it still was a huge ass draw.
That
So
was great. That was great. I love
yeah,
that.
that was awesome. Yeah,
Really
so
enjoyed watching.
yeah, so I mean, I just think that from what he's been able to do, message on the mic, you think about the matches with Stone Cold, the matches with Triple H, the Rocket Sock connection. You know, yeah, he's perfect at that spot in my opinion.
I also
Should
think
The
that,
Rock sit at the head of the table? No, you should sit at number 7 on our list. I guess that's just the way it is.
I think
Yeah.
one of the things for The Rock that hurts him in the sense that he can't go much higher than this is because his time in the business wasn't that long,
Yeah.
right? Like he was 96 full time, 96 through 2001, and that's when he started breaking into Hollywood. But from 97,
I mean,
through
that rise is
2001
so incredibly fast, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he goes from relative unknown to the biggest star in that, you know, we've seen in a decade in that
Yep.
era, in
It's-
no flat.
Like you think about the fact that the Attitude Era in 1998, or we'll just say like 1999, that was Austin's era, but The Rock was right there. Like those two were like, honestly wanted to be number 1, not 1A and not 1B, like the guy. And I think when you look back at the matches, yeah, The Rock was made by Mick Foley too, another guy. But I mean, he had great matches with Triple H. Like his last his I Quit match or Iron Man match. I think that was that Backlash or Judgment Day? Backlash 2001 or 2000 when Taker came back as the American Badass. Like that was incredible, and I think what puts him in the top 10 for me, though, because if it wasn't for him coming back in 2011, that run through from 2011 through 2013 cemented it for me because after being away for 7 years, he comes back and has a banger of a tag team match with Cena against The Miz and R-Truth and MSG, and then has the highest grossing WrestleMania in Miami that year to date. That was he can still do it. He can still talk about anything. Does that put me at number 6?
That puts your choice is you're up. You pick number 6. The Rock is officially at number 7.
Perfect. Number 6 is the Macho Man Randy Savage.
I'm glad he made it. Jesus Christ, I was starting to get worried.
Randy Savage was, I mean, that guy was in the 80s before he was the world champion in WWF. He made the Intercontinental belt mean just as much as the world heavyweight belt. His feud with Ricky Steamboat and what he used to call Chico Santana, his promos were hysterical. The first guy to understand that as a heel, you need to have a babyface woman as Miss Elizabeth as his manager and be the heel that he was like, you never saw that before in wrestling. He was the first one to do that. His turn when he won that tournament and at WrestleMania 4 was excellent. The Mega Powers colliding, like that feud with Hogan was great. And he was the consummate guy in WWF up until he left in 94. And then he reinvents himself in WCW and has a great run as Macho Man. I mean, listen, this guy wasn't on our list, obviously, but go back and watch. Is it Spring Stampede against Diamond Dallas Page? He put Diamond Dallas Page on the map. He's the reason that DDP became a world champion.
Yeah, but I think that I was gonna say, like, I had Macho Man at 9, and I was gonna say that, and I'm happy to have him here, but I think that the one knock I was gonna say on his career, because I think the guy is the total package. Like, he's capable of having, you know, he's got a technical masterclass on his resume against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He's got giant events and selling out arenas with Hulk Hogan with promos on his list. Like, this is the guy who can do everything. He was an 8 or a 9 out of 10 at everything, right? And I think that, to me, the one sort of depressing part about his career is how it wasn't the same once he once he left. And he doesn't have the same impact as a different character to me. And I think that that's like sort of his one knock that like bumped him down the list a little bit. for me. I mean, I had a similar thing about The Rock. Like I had The Rock at number 11. I figured you guys were going to think that was low, but it's like, that was what I was going to say. It's like, it's that small sample size, but I just think Macho Man Randy Savage is so iconic and representative of the sport and the promotion in general. I think that, every parody of a crazy intense wrestler that's ever been done is essentially someone doing a Macho Man Randy Savage impression. I think that he was a good athlete, great promoter, and he was a walking promo, but also just that character, I think is so important to the history of the sport. I can't argue with this placement. I'm glad he made it. I was starting to worry because I don't have a Veto really left to get him in the list. So I'm glad that he's here. So great. Number 6, unless Ray's going to veto.
And he made the graduation song like cool.
Right. And yeah, I think that was his talent, right? I think he could make anything cool. I think his intensity, how hard he just fucking went for it every single time. I mean, I don't know how the guy, our esteemed colleague Ray is losing his voice. I don't know how Macho Man Randy Savage can speak. That dude's vocal cords have to be fucking shredded. So I love the guy. I'm glad he's on the list. I got nothing bad to say about him.
Also, R.I.P.
Oh yeah, of course. Ray, anything bad? You gonna veto this guy?
No veto there.
Okay, lovely.
Can you recap?
You're up. It's number 5.
TK?
What? Sorry.
Can you recap 10 through 6?
Oh yes, absolutely. Number 10 is Hulk Hogan. Number 9 is Chris Jericho. Number 8 is Mick Foley. Number 7 is The Rock. Number 6 is the Macho Man Randy Savage. Ray is up with the 5th pick.
So I want to preface it by saying this is a personal.
I love that.
It's not something that someone is going to think he's in the top 5. Some maybe, but I'm going with the Viper, Randy Orton. I think one of the smoothest performers, and once again, that's why I said personal. It's not gonna be a pick that people love, and that's fine. But like I said, from his in-ring work, how he made you feel in his story, I feel like he always had you invested. And once again, the mic work wasn't always great. I think he just someone that always cared about more so doing great in-ring work, excuse me. But he's another guy that was a top guy for a long time, and I've always enjoyed every feud that he was in, regardless of the opponent. So I had pulled that trump card there, so to speak. But once again, I expect that to get vetoed. That's fine. But that's who I had there.
Mike, you have to veto this. It has to be you.
No, you're next.
I'm not going to veto it. I literally can't afford it, but we can't. You have to veto this. I mean, no disrespect to Randy Orton, honestly. I do think that Cena is sort of the reason we're ever even discussing him. But if I was to make a list, past 15, he might be 20 or 21 for me. I'm not saying he should be 50. It's not like a completely ludicrously outlandish pick.
Okay, so you're not going to veto it.
I can't. I got one left, and I know you're going to try to fucking kill me in the top 3.
Okay. All right, fine. I veto it. It's number 5. I pick Bret The Hitman Hart. I think that Bret was. I think Randy Orton's great, but in terms of the excellence of execution, the guy that in his 20-year career never actually hurt anybody. Everyone always left the ring in the same shape that they went into. The biggest knock on Bret, in my opinion, is his promo ability and that he took the business too seriously. But I do give him a lot of credit for in 1997 when he was a heel in the United States, but a babyface in Canada. Like never before had that been done, when he could just literally be the exact same character and get booed in one spot and revered in another. I thought that the formation of the Hart Foundation in 97 with him, Owen, Davey Boy, Jim, like that was, and Pillman, like that was incredible. Obviously, his matches, I think he made Stone Cold Steve Austin. Never put him over, but he made him. He made. I think he was one of the. He's one of the reasons why Shawn ascended as quickly as he did, because Bret was the first WWF champion that did not look like every other WWF champion in history. You can't have a top 5 without Bret the Hitman Hart. So I'm gonna put him at number 5.
I can veto that, right? My last veto.
Because
Because
I don't think you can.
no, I can't because you vetoed Ray's. So I can still veto yours.
you went and then I went. Did you give up your turn?
Well, it wouldn't be my turn. It's like you can use the veto whenever, but as long as you're
Okay.
not, as long as you didn't get vetoed, is how I was interpreting it. If you think it'll wreck it, I won't do it. But
Well, I think I know what you're gonna do. So I'm very
no, I'm
upset.
not going to put Shawn Michaels at number 5 out of spite. I'm not going to do that. That is, I think that for the integrity of the list, I don't think that makes sense. I don't think either of these guys deserve to be at number 5. I think Ray can't veto you. I still have a veto. I'm going to use the veto, and and we'll talk about Bret. I'll talk about Bret when he inevitably comes up in a more deserving place. And I'm going to put at number 5. This is going to make you guys mad. I'm going to put at number 5 Andre the Giant. Here's why. I think that there's no blueprint for Brock Lesnar, Big Show, Taker to a certain extent, unless you have Andre the Giant. I think that if you have, maybe I'm over influenced by the level of icon that these guys are. But I think that the pure out of this world size of him, the match between him and Hogan and the amount of fans that brought in, how iconic that is, and we discussed that already. Every single wrestler in the entire business has a story about how they watched Andre the Giant drink 10,000 beers and be fine. I think that he had an underrated showmanship, just based on sort of the size. I love his story. I love his character and his outfit. Just being basically, I mean, Big Show just went on to just completely fucking rip him off, 100%. And I think that just for the context of the list, I don't think his era has been accurately represented, or fairly represented. So I didn't want to put him as high as this, but this is the situation that Mike has forced me into. So I have Andre the Giant at number 5, and so do
you're fine. You're fine.
we
with
all, and that's my last veto. And thanks a fucking bunch. But here we are. I could see how the show was going to play out in my head. It's going pretty much according to plan, except for the first 5 I was a little surprised by, but here we are. So whose turn is it now? It's my turn to put a number 4. Oh Christ, my list is so fucked up now. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put Ric Flair at number 4. I'm going to put Ric Flair at number 4 for all the reasons that we discussed already. You guys are welcome to veto, obviously, but the only reason, again, I mean, I know I'm a broken record on this, but the only reason he's not higher is because my top 3, I think, are in my head an undisputed top 3. I love Ric Flair. I love his intensity. We had this conversation already. I used a veto to make sure that he wasn't lower, but here we are. Ric Flair, number 4. Mike.
So I have 1 left and Ray has 1 left, right?
Correct.
I'm fine with Ric Flair being number 4.
You had me going there for a second, you fucker. Ray?
Yeah, no, too soon. I'll concede. Ric Flair 4. Fine.
Okay, great. We're not yada yadaing over Ric Flair. If you want to hear our opinions on Ric Flair, just rewind to when Mike and I were absolutely clutching our pearls at Ray's selection of him far too low down the list. Number 3, Mike, is your pick.
Number 3, I have Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin, for all the reasons that we mentioned before. Wrestling, like we talked about Hogan, wrestling would be different without him. Wrestling would be very, very different without Stone Cold. We would be talking about the upcoming or the match at Starrcade as opposed to the Royal Rumble and CM Punk coming back and all of that. I think he was the guy that catapulted WWE from a family company to an actual publicly traded organization. They did it off of his back. And he's an underrated worker. I mean, again, he had great matches and his style, when he changed it to more of a brawler after he was dropped on his head, by Owen, it still worked. And as a guy that was used to being
and it shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have.
It shouldn't have.
He was able to make it work.
He was a technician that turned into a brawler. So I'm gonna put him in that's number 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ray, I don't have any vetoes left.
Yeah. I'm gonna use my final one. Fuck it. I'll use my final
Want
one.
some higher?
Yeah. Just a spot higher. I think this is a throwback. Person I'm gonna put out there. This guy was a draw in the 70s, well 60s and 70s. I'm gonna go with Bruno Sammartino.
Fuck
That's
my life.
say it again.
I said, fuck my life.
Yeah.
Bruno
Hey,
Sammartino.
hey, the guy
He's the
was
number 3 wrestler of all time, and there's nothing we can do. Here we are.
the guy, and there's people that listen to this and say he should be number 1 on here. It's fine, but I'm
Fair
like,
enough.
the man was champ for a million days. You want to talk about the original draw? I mean, I know obviously we know what Andre the Giant became and Hulk Hogan, but Bruno Sammartino was the original guy that people was coming to see and was watching on TV on Saturday mornings. With in front of the TV. He was the guy. So he made Vince's father a lot of money back then. So I think just because of the draw that he was, and going around from territory to territory, he was the man at his time, and I think he deserves to be at that spot.
Yeah, I mean, what was it, 4,040 days as a champion? An enigma, I think, of the sport, and the reason everyone's going to say we have the most hipster list in the history of top 15 rankings. But I kind of like it, honestly. I think it's going to really fuck up the next 2. But yeah,
I just love that DK, like, you picked number 1, right?
Yeah, but you can veto my number.
Right. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So Ray's number 2 now.
You know what's fucking crazy though? Is that like the
Fucking bird.
the way that we've backed ourselves into this.
No, Austin's not on the list. Stone Cold not on the fucking list.
But Stone Cold, Taker, Bret, and Shawn are the 4 pretty much guys that are left, and there's 2 spots.
Well,
So, all right, Ray.
no, I'm picking 2. No, Stone Cold's number 2 for me then.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Stone Cold's number 2. So, and once again, we don't have to get into that. We know why. Yeah, yep. So he's number 2. So yep.
I will. By the way, mention that you can't end with vetoes. You got to use your.
No. He's out. He's out.
He's out of vetoes.
Yeah, I'm the only one who was the veto last.
Okay, great. All right, fine. Okay, fair enough. Stone Cold's at number 2. We've talked about him.
Yeah.
I pick number 1.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pick Shawn Michaels at number 1.
Oh,
Mike, you have to use your last veto. Sorry, dude. You got to veto Shawn Michaels, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
You just added that you can't end with vetoes thing, by the way, before you
I know
did
that's in the chat. Go look. It's in the chat. I just wanted to remind you.
Does it say
But-
edited?
I hope it doesn't, but if it did, it's because I edited something else. But listen,
No, it does not say that. It does not say it.
well, I meant to say it, and here we are. I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal. I'll make you a solid deal. I'll give you back just for the integrity of the list. Just for the integrity of the list here. I'm willing to cancel out Andre at number 5. Okay. We can put Bret back on the list at number 5. I'm willing to concede it. I can't have him not on the list. Right? That this is the situation we've gotten ourselves into. I cannot have him not on the list. It looks like either Shawn Michaels or Undertaker is not going to be on the fucking list now, which is fine. But I can't have Bret not on the list. I agree with you that there's a, like, in the context of what we've been saying, there is a mic skills issue at times. I do think that Bret the Hitman Hart is the reason why 33% of wrestling fans exist, because of his influence in the Canadian provinces. I think that he was the most efficient technical wrestler of all time. I think the Hart Foundation and the Hart family are one of the most important families in the history of wrestling, alongside the Von Erichs, the McMahons, of the world, et cetera, et cetera. I think that unceremonious leaving of the promotion aside, I think you guys, I don't want to believe that this, but I do, after talking to you guys for years now about wrestling, I do sort of agree that if Bret could do it over, and I don't think he'll ever admit this, I think he'll take this to his fucking grave, but I think that if he could do it over, I think he would have been a little bit more malleable and a little bit less rigid about how he was a champion. I think I think less that he thought winning was important in these works, and more that the things, the accolades that he wanted his character to have were the same as a Bruno Sammartino or a Taker or whatever. You know, he wanted to have the Hitman be a positive influence, and always face a pure face, and never put himself in a position where he couldn't sort of take that character and put him next to a lot of belts and accolades. I think that was just part of the character. I don't agree that he like thought it was super important to win, and like he just didn't like to lose, and he didn't like to put people over. I just think he wanted to be sort of untouchable as a character, but I do think he was a little too rigid. I think that he did harm his legacy by being rigid. I don't think Bret screwed Bret. I'm not there yet, and I don't think I ever will be, but because I think Vince McMahon is a horrific piece of shit for what he did. But it's cool as fuck that he punched the fuck out of him, and I love Bret the Hitman Hart, and I'm willing, just again for the sanctity of the list, just put him at number 5 instead, and you can put Shawn Michaels at number 1.
Deal.
Yep.
Which means that Undertaker is not on our list, which
that's crazy.
it's crazy, but you wanted to put Bruno Sammartino. No, it's Sammartino number 3. So here we are.
But can we at least talk about Shawn? Can we?
Please.
Shawn Michaels, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time. Only because my number 2 is Ric Flair. My number 3 is Kurt Angle, and those two people have said that Shawn Michaels is the greatest of all time. I challenge you to go back and to look for a Shawn Michaels match that wasn't great. Ever. That wasn't great. I mean, he made early in his career with the Rockers. He had great match. Obviously, Jannetty was a great worker, but they had great matches, obviously, with bigger guys. The Hart Foundation match, rivalry was also great. I wish that the middle rope wouldn't have broken, because then they would have actually been World Tag Team Champions and never won it. For him to turn on Jannetty and the way that he did it, I thought it was great. Again, him and Sherry, with Sherry horrifically singing that theme song, was hysterical. His ascension, winning the 95 Royal Rumble and the 96 Royal Rumble back to back, I thought it was great. But if for no other reason, he had to retire. Whether you want to believe it or not, I truly believe that he has a metal rod in his back, and he had a herniated disc and had to step away for 4 years. His first match back without any rehearsal against Triple H at SummerSlam 02. And Ray even said this, his run from 02 to 2010 might be better than his run in the 90s. And he was working with guys like Chris Masters, Mark Henry, and he had great matches with them. This was before Mark Henry was over, and he was still finding his way. I just think that if you look at every single WrestleMania match that Shawn was in his entire career, you can't find a bad one, which is why they call him Mr. WrestleMania. And at a time when everyone was booing Cena and saying that he couldn't work, Shawn had him in the match at Ford Field in 2007, and nobody questioned whether Cena could wrestle again after that. And then they went an hour in London on Raw.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to like about Shawn Michaels. I think that what we learned from making this list is that there is a thing you can bring up to knock almost anybody, if not everybody, that was possibly going to be on this list. I don't think anybody's perfect, which is sort of the charm of the whole endeavor anyway. I think if you were going to say one thing, and I will say some nice things about Shawn, but I think if you're going to say one thing that was a knock on Shawn, it's not that break. For me, it's what Bret says about him. It's the fact that he was young and irresponsible and made a lot of really dumb decisions behind the scenes that I think harmed him and I think harmed the promotion. I don't think that it's enough to take him out of the top 3. He was in my top 3. But in saying that, I think a lot of people make mistakes when they're young. I think he's come a long way. I think he's the best high flyer in the history of sports entertainment. I think that he is incredibly impressive for wrestling post being told by doctors that he would never fucking walk again, never mind wrestle. I think that he is probably my favorite heel of all time in the sense that he made me hate him. He made me really, really hate him, and that was the point. Like, it worked. To the point where I didn't even realize that I was getting worked, and I think that there's a special place in my heart for when that guitar starts to rip off and he enters a match. And honestly, I never thought about it like that before. When you just said that, I challenge you to go back and find a Shawn Michaels match that's not a good match. And I can't think of one off the top of my head, and I believe you. I don't think I'm going to be able to go back and look and see a match that's bad. And I think that, something we didn't hit on a ton in this podcast, but I think is really, really important to remember, you're defined by your matches. I mean, you can be really good on the mic, which he was. You can be really good at doing promos, which he was. You can make great characters. You can do great heel turns. But I think if you ask me, put a gun in my hand and ask me to name my top 5 matches, I would think Shawn Michaels is probably featuring in 3 of them. So I think that it's difficult to argue that he's not one of the best, if not the best. So there might be some people arguing with some points on this list, but I mean, Shawn Michaels has to be in your top 3. Where, like, however you felt about him, I at least your top 5, because, and depending on maybe your era, but I think that it was a very innocent and lovely time for all of us as at the age we were when Shawn came around. I get why he's your favorite guy. I really truly do. And yeah, I'm happy enough to have Shawn at number 1 here.
Great. Thank you, DK.
Well, we did it, guys. We made a list of the top 15 wrestlers of all time, and The Undertaker is not on it. So, that's the nature of the game. I mean, it gets cutthroat. At least we made it. We were in a position where potentially, Taker.
Also, Sting's not on it.
Sting's on it. No, Sting's not on. You're right. You're right. That's crazy. Can you guys both tell me what your top 15s were?
Yeah. So you want me to go from 15 to 1 or 1 to 15?
Yeah, go from 15 to 1.
15 Eddie Guerrero, 14 Triple H, 13 Dusty Rhodes, 12 Rowdy Piper, 11 John Cena, 10 Sting, 9 Taker, 8 Hogan, 7 Rock, 6 Macho Man, 5 Bret, 4 Austin, 3 Angle, 2 Flair, 1 Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid list. I think Taker is low on your list.
At least he's on it.
No, he was on all of our lists. He just got fucked up. She just got fucked up. That's the nature of the game. That's why we play the game. I like your list. I do. I think you got I was just looking at the side by sides of like who actually made what, and you did get a couple of key guys in the positions that you picked them or thereabouts. So I think you played the game well. Yeah, there you go. Ray, tell us your 15 to 1 if you can.
Definitely had to change some guys on the fly who I had originally. So Sting, Angle, Edge, Mick Foley, Randy Orton, Bret Hart, Hogan, Jericho, Flair, Hunter, Taker, Rock, Stone Cold, Michaels, and then Cena was my number 1.
Whoa.
Interesting.
You had Ric Flair at 11 and Cena at 1.
Oh, I said I had Flair at 7.
Oh, 7. Who was your 10?
Bret.
Him was Bret. And it was only because of the mic stuff. Like I said, if we're talking just technical stuff, that he would have been.
No, I mean, everything's a factor, like the whole, I get it. I understand. I know that people, Bret's a hipster choice, I think, is your favorite wrestler, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people respect him, like you guys, like respect him and enjoy a lot of his matches, but maybe wouldn't put him as a number 1. I think that all 15 guys we put on this list and some guys that we didn't would all be 99 overalls in WWE, right? And I think that for the most part, we're sort of thereabouts in agreement. I mean, Bruno Sammartino wouldn't have been anywhere near my list. I would have liked to see Sting on there. The Von Erichs probably wouldn't have been anywhere near your guys' list. And what was the one that you got? I mean, I had.
Can I ask you a question? I'd hope that this doesn't sound like an asshole. I'm not trying to swerve you here. Without Iron Claw, are the Von Erichs on your list?
No way. No,
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think that, I watched the movie, I loved the movie, and it made me go read up on the family, and I knew who they were, and I was aware of the story, and I knew I probably could have told you which ones were dead and which ones are still alive because most of them are dead. But I knew like a lot about the sadness of the story in the first place. But I think that and the movie doesn't really even sort of try to tell you this. It's like the movie's sort of more. Have you guys seen it yet? I don't want to spoil anything.
No.
The movie's sort
I
of.
heard Zac Efron was phenomenal in it though.
Yeah, he's really, really good in it, but I think the movie sort of doesn't really try to make a case for Fritz von Erich being like an all-time wrestling great. I think it tries to make a case for him being a piece of shit, and I think that he probably was a piece of shit to his kids to a certain degree, and I think that he probably should have been maybe a little nicer. What I liked about it is a very similar story to the Hart family, you know, like, and the fact that these guys have. The fact that these wrestling families exist, I think, is really, really cool. And I think that he did have a huge impact on the sport and the world of sports entertainment in general. I think it's provable. But no, he wouldn't have been on my list if it wasn't for Iron Claw. But I mean, I think it's good to talk about him. You know, I think there's a lot of stories out there about him, and I think he's interesting to go look. So if anyone's listening to this and they haven't seen a movie yet or they want to learn about him, but my number 15 was Fritz von Erich or the Von Erich family. Number 14 was Sting. 13 was Cena. 12 was Dusty Rhodes. 11 was The Rock. I didn't get a chance to say that out loud. I'm sure that would have made you guys mad. 10 was Hulk Hogan. 9 was Macho Man Randy Savage. 8 was Rowdy Roddy Piper. 7 was Mick Foley. 6 was Stone Cold Steve Austin. 5 was Andre the Giant. 4 was Ric Flair. 3 was Shawn. 2 was Taker. And 1 was Bret. So, yeah. I thought, you know, what did you think I was going to put Shawn at? Just curious.
I thought you would put him at 5.
I figured 3.
Okay. That seems fair. I honestly, you know, if I was going to do the list again, I'd probably put Taker at 3 and Shawn at 2. Because I like the idea of 1 and 2 in whatever order being Bret and Shawn. To be honest, because this is my favorite rivalry in the history of because that's the thing. I think that's what I've learned doing these shows with you guys is that like Shawn Michaels worked on me. Like that's why I didn't like Shawn Michaels is because he was so effective as the man that he was and the character that he was. Like it worked. So and you know for as far as what's real and what's not, as far as like, you know, oh, I didn't know, you know, that stuff was really what made me just put a bad taste in my mouth. Oh, I didn't know about the screw job. It's like, yeah, you fucking did, dude. Like that stuff just always left a bitter taste in my mouth. But like now, and the kind of man that he seems to have become, and I'm really all about redemption stories and second chances, and it seems genuinely real that he's the man who he says he is now. And I mean, think he has a lot of regrets, but
Bret believes it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but like, look at the man Bret is now. As far as I can tell, he's still real twisted up and bitter about a lot of things, and I think that's sad to me, you know, because I think he's an all timer, and I think he should just leave that stuff somewhere, you know, he should just let it go. It's very un-Canadian of him, but anyway, here we are. I think the one giant flaw is obviously Taker not being on the list, but that was just game shit. But I think overall I'm pretty happy with it. I think it could have been worse. if we were really trying to be dicks to each other, it could have been a lot worse. So, thank you so much for having me on Kayfabe Critics, brought to you by Missing the Point. I'm DK Sizzle. Thank you to Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan and Michael Marcangelo. This has been Kayfabe Critics. Peace out.
Hi, I'm Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks. What did you do on your last Saturday night?
Did you hear something?
Toilet paper.
There's none. Nada. The reserves have gone dry. People are hoarding it. I should have done that.
They're all out of hand sanitizer at my Target.
Mark, when did you last watch the news?
We are getting reports of forced quarantines in China, Japan, and now Italy.
You're cutting onions in half and putting them around your apartment.
Yes, exactly. It kills the COVID.
Excuse me?
Let's go. Let's go. Get in.
Vamos, rápido.
Have you ever driven one of these?
Never.
I'll drive, ladies.
I've got the keys.
Excuse me, I'm lost. I'm looking for my wife. I got turned around.
Join me, Eric Roberts, Jennifer Elise Cox, and Ed Asner for The Last Saturday Night, an Electrocast podcast. You'll love it. Electrocast. Electrocast.